Welcome to Belfast. A city steeped in history and nestled in the heart of Northern Ireland. Every year, on the 12th of July, an annual holiday begins. The day has become infused with great significance and has been celebrated as a key symbol of Unionism. On this date, the people of Northern Ireland find themselves transported back in time to the year 1690, as the celebrations commemorate the triumph of the Protestant King William of Orange over the armies of the Catholic King James at the Battle of Aughrim. The event encapsulates the deep-rooted divisions that existed during this period and continue to exist onto the modern day. The holiday is primarily orchestrated by the Orange Order, a prominent Protestant fraternal organisation. In our investigation, we delve into the intriguing world of the Orange Order, the bonfires, and the captivating marches that envelop this unique holiday. In order to understand the reality of the celebrations on the 12th, as well as grasp how the Orange Order operates, we went to report on the ground in Belfast. On the 11th, members of the Loyalist community gathered together to sing songs and celebrate their heritage and identity. Since the advent of Brexit, these celebrations have gained added significance as a display of strength, as the nationalist party Sinn Féin has become the largest political party in Northern Ireland. With this in mind, we began roaming the streets of Belfast, where the finishing touches were being added to the large bonfires. Indeed, on the night of the 11th, one night before the official celebrations begin, Loyalist communities come together to construct these towering structures. The bonfires, structures of timber, pallets and tyres, hold deep historical and cultural significance for the Orange Order and the Loyalist population. They symbolise a commemoration of Protestant heritage, a tradition that has persisted throughout generations, marking a sense of identity and historical continuity amidst a changing and evolving society. These immense fires also serve as a display of strength and pride, both highlighting their unity and asserting the presence in the face of lingering tensions from the Troubles and the ongoing divisions within Belfast. So we're here on the Shankill Road. As you can see, there's a bonfire behind us. It's the 11th of July. The 11th of July celebrations and the 12th of July celebrations are celebrating the victory in the Battle of Aughrim. This is obviously one of the smaller ones behind me here, but some of the ones on the suburbs of Belfast and in other Loyalist areas, they'll probably be a lot bigger. So this is just a start and they'll all be getting lit at around midnight. So. Yeah, so we're just past Sandy Row. One of the bigger bonfires in and around here has just come down, and there's a fire brigade over there who've come to put it out. So there's loads of people gathering around. It's clearly a really big spectacle, and this is a huge part of the 11th of July celebrations here. So yeah, there's loads of people around the place, massive crowds. It just came down around 5 minutes ago, so it's dying down now, thankfully. As the bonfires continued to blaze in the night, their towering flames illuminated the beliefs and traditions of the Orange Order, a pivotal force in the continuation of these annual festivities. In 1795, the Battle of the Diamond took place, between the Protestant Peep Day boys and the Catholic defenders. This battle marked a period of increased sectarian fighting, due to rising demands for Catholic emancipation. In the wake of the Peep Day boys' triumph, a significant development unfolded, as James Wilson, Dan Winter, and James Sloan joined forces to establish the Orange Order, an organisation committed to, quote, defending the king and his heirs so long as he or they support the Protestant ascendancy. We spoke to William Austin Lendrum. William served as Deputy Master and District Standard Bearer of the Royal Lodge for 22 years. He provides us with an insight into the inner workings of the Orange Order, as well as his own personal experiences.
The Orange Order, I would be very proud of it. I should tell you, and still is too. I hadn't for 85 years of age. I would be very proud of it. I would never let the Orange run. I'd not let nobody run it down. We never did that much wrong on anybody. Not at all. Maybe there was old-time scrimmages, but maybe they weren't taken it happen. No, I would be a staunch Protestant. That's what I'd be.
My name's Eric Kaufman, professor of political science. I've actually just recently left Birkbeck College, where I've been for 20 years. I've written a couple of books really on this topic, one entitled The Orange Order in 2007, and then another one with Henry Patterson, Unionism and Orangism in Northern Ireland since 1945, as well as other articles and edited book chapters on this.
So could you provide us with a brief history of the emergence of the Orange Order?
Well, yeah, so really this is a Protestant fraternal organization which has a very similar structure to the Masonic Lodge, from which it takes 10 of its 11 symbols. These Orange societies, basically they're named after King William of Orange, who of course is a key figure in post-Glorious Revolution, reestablishing Protestant rule in Britain against a presumed Catholic threat, and starts to be celebrated a little bit in the 18th century informally, and then about 100 years later, in 1795, the Orange Order is founded in Northern Ireland, and it's sort of and really it brings together Protestants in Ireland. It then quickly spreads early in the 19th century to other parts of the UK, Scotland, England, and to Canada certainly by 1830. I think the first Grand Lodge is founded there. So this is sort of the origins of this movement, as a kind of a commemorative Protestant fraternal organization.
We met with Reverend Chris Hudson, a liberal Protestant Unitarian minister. Chris helps provide perspectives on paramilitary culture and on the religious political fusion within the Orange Order. He played a pivotal role in the latter stages of the peace process in Northern Ireland, serving as a medium through which loyalist paramilitary groups could voice their opinions and demands.
The Orange Order is a Protestant organisation. I can't join the Orange Order because I'm a Unitarian. I don't believe in the Trinity. So to join the Orange Order, you have to believe in the Trinity, and you have to subscribe to the Reformed Church Creed.
The Orange institution in Ireland comprises a pyramid structure, from private local lodges to district and county level lodges. At the top of this pyramid, the Grand Lodge of Ireland, with 373 members, holds significant power. The Central Committee of the Grand Lodge oversees rules revision, finance and education. However, private lodges are autonomous as long as they follow the institution's rules. While breaking these rules can lead to dissolution, disobedience to senior lodge policies can occur without consequence. such as failing to expel convicted murderers or negotiating with the Parades Commission. Membership of the Orange Order stands at approximately 34,000, down from a peak in the 1960s when it boasted more than 90,000 members. The lodges meet monthly to discuss important matters of the day. The order also involves itself in charitable work and possesses an economic function as a property holder.
Now, we didn't have an Orange Hall because we had the right to sit in St John's Church of Ireland Hall. But most of them all had Orange Halls, and so you sat in your Orange Hall. And the rules and regulations and that was, whatever discussed in that hall, you should not, when you get to the door, there's not who you meet, you don't talk about it. I know someone does, but they shouldn't. They shouldn't. That's thick, those thick rules, isn't it?
Was it for protecting yourselves, do you think?
Yeah. In other words, you didn't let everybody know what you talked about, what we were talking about.
You know, during the Stormont period up until the late 1960s, there may have also been some benefit to being a member of the Orange Order, whether that be securing a job in the Harland and Wolff shipyards or making your way in unionist politics. It was an important thing to be a part of. You know, I think that so I think that there was that sort of social networking function.
That much. That's mostly where we're an outfit of our own together, and that's what we would have done. We would have now buying property at times. Used to be so 10 years ago. And of course, with this of death and everyone else, well, they're there to go and see you and have a talk with the family and see how. And last, well, if they wanted to do a lift for the remains, but you had to go and ask the family.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that there are a lot of economic functions, but there's no question that the Orange Order, they have a land fund for acquisition of properties. I mean, it never amounted to a ton of money. They might have been able to retain a few farms, a few houses in particularly border areas where there was fear of Protestant communities dwindling. They also have rules, strong social pressure against selling land to Catholics, in particularly in border areas. These were all functions that the Orange Order sort of got behind. And they were also had a law against marrying a Catholic.
On the 12th of July, the Orange Order's most significant annual event takes place, culminating in parades across Northern Ireland. The event celebrates the victory of King William of Orange and the role of the Glorious Revolution in securing the Protestant ascendancy in Ireland. Loyalist marching bands lead the procession, with the local lodges of Orange men and Orange women bearing flags and banners, honouring the Glorious Revolution and Protestant heritage following in pursuit. A symphony of flutes battle with the cacophony of the lambeg drum, one of the loudest acoustic instruments in the world. Alongside the march, people of all ages chant and support the marchers. The processioners' long march is invigorated by the festive atmosphere created by a crowd energised by the significance of the day in marking their Protestant identity, and who are further spurred on by a plentiful supply of alcohol. So in terms of the celebrations today, there are bands from a load of different Protestant communities who would circle around the side streets playing with instruments such as the lambeg drum, and there was also flute bands. There was people from all ages who would congregate together in all these different groups. It went by and large very peacefully. We didn't see any sort of issue and tension. There was a pretty big police presence, but that's sort of typical for anything like that, just to make sure everything's running smoothly and everyone's safe. So yeah, by and large, everything went by pretty peacefully, and as you can see, there's some remnants of the celebrations last night. Everyone was out sort of in and around the periphery to stay far back from the bonfire. This was one of the bigger bonfires around the place that was lit last night on the 11th of July at in and around 12 o'clock. So as you can see, it's still burning behind me. There's lots of rubbish around the place, but this was the site of a huge celebration last night. There were hundreds of people out here playing music, just drinking, partying, having a good time. And as you can see behind there, there's some Union Jacks and other flags. marking the day of celebration. So it's the 12th today, and the parades are sort of coming to an end, and this is sort of the end of the 2-day celebrations for the 11th and 12th. And yeah, there's not many people around the place now. Everyone's walking around on some of the side streets, following the bands around the place.
I suppose, put it this way, it is a very big day, and it's letting the world know that we are not dead, and we are still going. And we're parading, and we always emphasise, we're parading not denying with it, and we shouldn't be at it. And indeed, for certain odd places, you could get a Protestant farmer and an Orangeman, and a Roman Catholic neighbour look after the cows for him, the cattle. Not all cases, but that's known to be done.
Every July 12th, it parades. There are also other parades, so it serves a kind of integrative, social integrative function, and also connects perhaps men into politics to some degree. I wouldn't want to overstate that, but it also and serves to sort of look out for the Protestant interest vis-a-vis, for example, the mainland Britain vis-a-vis Ireland, Republic of Ireland, and so forth. You parade once a year. Something like a third of members only show up for the parade, rather than the sort of dry and boring lodge meetings that occur on a much more regular basis.
The Orange Order has often been described as a sectarian organisation. This description cannot be disentangled from the history which the Orange Order reveres. The maintenance of the Protestant ascendancy in Ireland secured Protestant supremacy in Ulster, subsequently leading to the creation of a Northern Irish state described by Prime Minister Sir James Craig as a Protestant state for a Protestant people. For some, the concept of Protestant supremacy symbolises a history of inequality, discrimination and political repression for the Catholic population of Northern Ireland. In this historical context, the Orange Order can be described as being a core element of the societal fabric that upheld this Protestant domination due to its doctrinal attitude, political power, and economic functions. In the modern day, the organisation's orchestration of the 12th holiday has brought condemnation for sectarian acts that occur on the 12th, such as the burning of Irish flags, pictures of nationalist or alliance politicians, and anti-social sectarian chants. More broadly, social actors have characterised the 12th of July parades as militaristic triumphalism, which glorifies the supremacy of the past. Furthermore, questions remain surrounding the institution's policy forbidding members from marrying Catholics or attending Catholic masses, even in the case of funerals.
And there are young people who have come in since post-conflict who, let me put it this way, are not as political and see it in a different way, and to some extent are more sectarian and more involved in cultural wars than the older lads that are now beginning to step down. That's a bit problematic, but that's up to communities to resolve.
Yes, you can put it sectarian, but we don't believe it's sectarian.
Yeah.
But that's the frame of mind that's put by the Catholic community, or the Roman Catholics, and the chapel for that matter.
If you're a Protestant organisation, you have every right to have Protestants in your organisation. If you're a gay organisation, you have every right to have only gay people in your organisation. So when people in the South, with all their great liberalism, their newfound liberalism, look at the Orange Order and say, oh look, it's terribly sectarian, they should look at all the things that they subscribe to in the South. That maybe the fact that 80% of primary schools are controlled by the Catholic Church might be one observation they would make. So I think organisations have every right to reflect their membership. And if somebody wants to be a Protestant organisation, that's fine. But it shouldn't give them rights or entitlements over and above anybody else. And it did in the past. Because if you remember the Orange Order, you were affiliated to the Ulster Unionist Party, and that gave you political power. That's gone now, and that's the way it should be. But my point, I repeat, nobody should feel, because they're a member of a religious organisation, that somehow they have more rights and more power than somebody not from that organisation. Nor should they feel, or be allowed to feel, that they're superior to anyone else. And there was a sense of that. You will hear that from some Catholic people. And in certain cases it was true, that some Protestants saw themselves as superior to their fellow Ulster folk who happened to be Catholic. But I think we're well away from all that now. That doesn't happen now.
In the late 1960s, Northern Ireland descended into the beginning of a brutal ethno-nationalist conflict that would last for 30 years, until peace was achieved with the Good Friday Agreement in 1998. In response to the institutional repression and inequality of the Catholic population, a civil rights movement demanding equal rights and an end to discrimination arose. These marches were met with violent oppression and repression by the British state. Intercommunal tensions rose alongside increased rioting. British state forces were deployed on the streets of Northern Ireland, creating the conditions for a tripartite war between Republican paramilitaries, British state forces, and Loyalist paramilitaries. The Troubles altered the societal fabric of Northern Ireland as segregation and mistrust between communities skyrocketed. Additionally, the violence which occurred, oftentimes sectarian, politicised and strengthened ethno-national identity. For the Orange Order, membership reached an all-time high.
Paramilitarism, the Orange Order took quite a firm line against paramilitarism during the Troubles and afterwards, and did actually make a strenuous effort to condemn them and to keep them out of the Orange Order and encourage young people to instead enlist in the Ulster Defence Regiment and RUC, which were the kind of Protestant-dominated police force. So that's kind of the historic relationship. And now as we move forward, of course, what happens is sometimes an orange cause will become a paramilitarist cause.
I was on the B Specials for 12 years. I've done 3 years in the Territorial Army and a Skin Fusiliers. And I've done 24 years in the Ulster Defence Regiment and finished in the home-based Royal Irish for 18 months, I think it was. That was and worked all my life in various different jobs. And had to get out of, I worked for Babies Knockmore Lisbon. I had to get out of it because we really are Ulster Defence Regiment.
Was there a specific reason, or did someone say something?
It's been followed. Well, they're going to shoot me if they got me.
Yeah. Did you receive direct threats, or did you just know?
Not direct threats, but I was told by security forces to watch myself, which I did. I used my brain just as well as they used theirs. Do you understand that? I didn't. Right, there was a detective come up to me, so I might as well have nobody as far as I was concerned. But I done it my own way. And I kept going the same road, but I was watching anyway. See what they used to do, the PIRA, that's provisional IRA, not the official IRA, PIRA, which was a step from the official IRA. What they would have done, they would have followed you, or keep an eye on you here and there, maybe go to your house and stand about at night and see where you're most vulnerable to be shot. That was the way. One IRA man said, he says, when I shot anybody, he says, I never stopped to look whether they're dead or alive. I knew I shot him. And he says, I couldn't wait, he says, for see them UDR boys, he says, they're good shots. And he said, they tumbled you up the road just. Well, that was some of those good shots. And these specials, the greatest shots have you seen, the best shots of it.
The 12th of July parades became a hotspot for violent outbreaks throughout the conflict and into the peace process. Issues have often arisen when the parade route passed through predominantly nationalist areas. In many cases, nationalists have protested the processions, citing their threatening and supremacist nature as the primary reason. In retaliation, Unionist communities have counter-protested, often leading to social disturbance and rioting centering upon areas of contention. The July 12th march through Drumcree, nearby Portadown, resembles a prominent case in which contention over parade routes has erupted into violence. In 1995, residents of the predominantly Catholic Garvaghey Road staged a sit-down protest to prevent the march from passing through the area. Policemen prevented the march from passing down the road, and rioting broke out at the barricade. The following year, the Chief Constable announced that the 12th of July parade would be banned from passing through the Garvaghey Road on its traditional route. A crowd of 10,000 Orangemen and supporters rioted for 3 days, with the violence escalating with the murder of a Catholic cab driver, Micheál McGoldrick, by the Ulster Volunteer Force. Eventually, the Orangemen were permitted to finish their parade through the Garvaghey Road. This outraged residents of the road, believing that the police force bent to the will of loyalist violence, and they retaliated in protest with social disturbance spreading across nationalist communities in Northern Ireland. In 1997, after the Loyalist Volunteer Force threatened the Catholic community, the march was allowed to proceed. There was a significant increase in the security force presence in preparation. After the parade had passed, rioting broke out within the nationalist community. Arson attacks were committed against Orange Halls, while the Provisional IRA coordinated attacks against security forces. In response to the significant number of injuries and widespread social disturbance, the Parades Commission was formed with the intention of managing the sensitive issue of parades in Northern Ireland. The Parades Commission aims to balance the right to freedom of expression and freedom of assembly with the need to maintain peace, order, and community cohesion in a historically divided society. However, actors have criticised the Parades Commission. The Orange Order does not recognise the Parades Commission, which it sees as having been founded to target Protestant parades, as Protestants parade at 10 times the rate of Catholics. Furthermore, they see parade route bans as an infringement of their human rights and right to religious freedom. In 1998, the Parades Commission made the official decision to ban the march from Garvaghey Road. Widespread action was taken by loyalist actors, including the Orange Order, resulting in attacks on the security forces and Catholic homes. Over 2,561 public order incidents occurred over the week alone. The events culminated in the death of 3 brothers, Jason, Mark, and Richard Quinn, aged between 8 and 10 years old at the time, as a result of a loyalist arson attack on their home. Despite widespread condemnation, protests, sectarianism, and loyalist violence increased in Drumcree, with the burning of St. John's Catholic Church, the murder of Garvaghey Road residential community advisor Rosemary Nelson, and the continuous intimidation of the Catholic population. While tensions have subsided alongside the peace process, the Orange Order continues to apply for parades in Drumcree and campaign for the right to march on the Garvaghey Road. Sort of in recent years, as you know, the Parades Commission have brought a lot of controversy to the parades. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on this?
For instance, you had a Drumcree, didn't you? Well, don't let them march on Drumcree. But see that Portadown district, they'll never quit. They're not going to quit ever. Well, that's strong-minded. They're not going to quit. They'll walk down to the police every time. The police has to stop them, and that's it. But they don't pull out to the police, they just take their orders, but they just tell them how. But they'll get there yet, what do you see?
What do you think about them going through, the Orange Order going through Catholic areas and some of the parades on the 12th? Do you think it's
on a route? And I mean, it only takes 10 minutes going by. But then there's 5 strong-minded boys in the other outfit too. Well, the reason why they're stopping you is to show that they can stop you. It's getting on over on you. You understand that, Dave?
So the Drumcree parade route, the right to march down the Garvaghey Road, was then a cause embraced by paramilitaries who were very much a part of the demonstrations that occurred there and that ultimately created a security situation, and then led first for a little while helped get the Orange Order down the parade road. Now the Orange Order, of course, did sort of distance itself from the paramilitaries, but clearly benefited in some way from that show of force. But of course, after 1998, they were prevented through large-scale military and police mobilization from marching down the road. And some of the scene for those disputes has been set by some of these demographic shifts, which can manifest in Catholic areas expanding to some degree territorially. And so just in the context of all of those things, you're getting the rise of some of these disputes. What happens is that the Good Friday Agreement in 1998, which coincides with the first blocked Drumcree Parade of 1998, the establishment of the Parades Commission, of course, occurs at the same time as the Orange Order loses on Drumcree. Obviously, that leaves a bad taste in the mouth. And then it leads to the Orange Order then not recognizing the Parades Commission, not cooperating with it.
Commemorative events such as the 12th of July exemplify that memories of the past permeate throughout present-day Northern Ireland. However, the way in which the past is remembered is distinct across communities. The emphasis of Loyalist celebrations being centred around the victory of King William of Orange sings a song of triumphalism.
Well, I mean, one important part of the Orange Order is the preservation and reenactment of the collective memory of Ulster Protestants and the memory of the four battles that are canonized, the memory of resistance really to what are perceived to be threats to unionism, and the preservation of a certain kind of history. But I still think it's that cultural function of keeping alive a certain sense of identity and history for Ulster Protestants.
However, this triumphalism is deeply connected to a sense of fear, a fear of annihilation, a fear of besiegement. Some academics have questioned whether that in a world of continuous change, attempting to reaffirm a glorious past is ultimately defeatist in nature. With the advent of a new post-conflict era, the past has been increasingly weaponized by factions in Northern Ireland within a battle of rhetoric.
And you have opinion makers in the Republic, people like David McWilliams now, signalling this is the road to United Ireland, which it isn't, of course. But that scares them. Why they listen to people like that, I don't know. But they're inclined to pick those vibes up from the South, that, oh, we're on the road to United Ireland. So that makes, that community uncomfortable. It makes them uneasy, and it makes them feel under siege.
This is sort of can be traced back through the 20th century. I mean, part of this is a kind of defensive crouch in relation to the fact that, initially, of course, Orangism and Unionism in Ireland as a whole was trying to hang on to certain privileges with respect to some degree of employment and certainly in political power terms. I think the Orange Order is kind of reflecting what I would say is probably the dominant strand within unionism, which is to be skeptical and wary of new initiatives that might involve a worsening of their political position.
In 1996, the International Body on Arms Decommissioning noted that a lasting resolution will remain challenging as long as the parties resort to their vast inventories of historical recrimination, and that what is really needed is the decommissioning of mindsets. Throughout our investigation, it became apparent that neither Loyalism or the Orange Order were cohesive units. The institutions came in a variety of shades of orange. A clear distinction emerged between urban and rural orders, reflecting the threats each community faced and their own interests. The message of the Orange Order appeared to fall differently on the ears of the working class population in comparison to others. Meanwhile, the importance of faith was seminal for some and less so for others.
Image of them being sort of very traditionalist. I think that also is a bit of a misconception in the sense that actually, if you look at the full spectrum of Orangism, they're not especially religious, and there are rifts under the surface between kind of different kinds of modernizing or anti-traditional forces and different and traditional forces. And it's kind of, there are these interesting splits that emerge really time and time again throughout the history of the Orange Order. So it's not really a monolith.
And within loyalist working class, there's a sense of betrayal, that they haven't gained that much from the peace process and the peace dividend. And that would be true. Some of it is their own fault, because within working class Protestant communities, if you make the community unattractive by having paramilitaries as overlords, that's going to stop people with lots of money investing in your community. So it's trying to get that message through to people. It can be difficult.
Well, I'm Church of Ireland, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't have to be Church of Ireland. You could have been Presbyterian or Methodist or whatever. But most of them three, a lot of them fairly religious type people, and done things straight. Not maybe all, but yes, a lot of them. You should get about apple and Reeboks, don't you?
The Orange Order in the country areas is more religious and more traditional. And actually, traditionalism can have different relationships. So, for example, traditional might mean you are against including blurring the line between the Orange Order and paramilitarism, or you are against drink or rowdy behavior on parades. And so you have a certain amount of that crossover between that independent marching band, paramilitaristic, at least not necessarily members of paramilitaries, but pseudo-paramilitaristic youth culture, and the sort of traditional, respectable kind of Orange culture. Though, you know, in urban areas, there's no question that the Orange Order is a bit more on the kind of rough and militant side, where there's a little bit more. Again, I still think they will try and keep the paramilitarism out of it, but there's a little bit more of that influence, whereas in the rural areas, it's less. It's more of a kind of, it's more conservative, more religious, more traditional in tone.
Remember, Protestant here, it doesn't mean you necessarily go to church. Matter of fact, most young Protestants don't go to church. Protestant is identity. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, like once a Catholic, always a Catholic, an Irish Catholic, Polish Catholic. Ulster Prod is an identity. I always point out to loyalists when I'm speaking to them, when they say I'm British. And I said, what does it mean to be British? And the answer will be, well, you're a Prod and you're maybe an Orangeman and you march on the 12th and you love the King. And I said, well, what about if you come from Dublin and you speak a bit of Irish and you did a bit of Cayley dancing? Does that make you less British? And they think about it. I said, what if you come from Iran and you speak Farsi, but you want to be a British citizen and you want to contribute to this place? It's changing that debate, because Britain, the United Kingdom, is a pluralist society. Like Bradford is nearly an Islamic town. Liverpool is really the capital of Ireland. And that's the history of Britain, looking at the contribution there. We have a journey that we're on, and that journey is to a better place. And that is a Northern Ireland where people live comfortably together. But every time we go along that journey, we're a bit like a fire brigade. We're dragged in this direction, or we're dragged in this direction. I'm not against young lads from a loyalist community putting up flags on lampposts, be it the Union flag or the Northern Ireland flag. As a matter of fact, if that's the way they want to celebrate, let's support them. But let's do it in a way that it doesn't intimidate each other. And let's do it in some form of cooperation.
Belfast's history is etched in the fabric of the Orange Order, a symbol of Protestant identity. As we have explored through our on-the-ground report and our interviews, the annual 12th of July holiday celebrates Protestant culture and identity, but is marred by sectarian acts. As Northern Ireland grapples with its past, the battle of rhetoric persists between different ethno-nationalist societal groups. As some of our interviewees suggest, the key may lie in decommissioning mindsets, understanding diverse perspectives within the Orange Order, and transcending historical recriminations towards a future of unity and peace.